And another question is, this field is very complex, as you said, like too many factors,
Yes, too
human
many.
emotion, animal behavior, and abiotic components,
Yes.
so many variations.
Yes, yeah.
And this is the field of science. How do you carry out scientific methodologies? I mean, what is your research like methodology to
Right.
study human primate?
This-
Let's get a bit nerdy here.
Yes, sure, sure.
Like we can tell us about like data collection or maybe systemic analysis.
Yeah.
Like how do you go about it?
Right. So there are two ways of looking at it. So there is a quantitative approach and a qualitative approach.
Okay.
So in recent times, in primatology, so this field of study of primates is primatology, right? There has been a increased focus on trying to get qualitative, qualitative methods, to get into the subject into the field. So we're trying to get very descriptive along with trying to do a very systematic data collection. So in that way, we get very holistic, idea of the what we're trying to study.
Okay.
So when I'm saying qualitative, it is you go to a place, okay, and I want to talk to people there. I can do interviews. I can have a conversation with them, and I can write it all down, right? So this becomes very. It's known as ethnography. This is a scientific study of getting information from people about their attitudes, about their beliefs, right? So I can just talk to them and I can write it down. So this is a very conversational style. And then there are interviews, there are surveys. This is a very qualitative approach.
Okay.
And in quantitative, it becomes very hypothesis driven. So you have an objective in mind. So now I want to see how this primate, it is, the behavior is varying in this habitat from one habitat to another habitat. So then I will have a hypothesis that, okay, in this habitat, maybe in a slightly disturbed habitat, they may be ranging. So their behavior is, a ranging behavior is one of their behaviors. So that is how much do they move, locomotion, right? My hypothesis is that in a very disturbed habitat, their locomotion is much, the time they spend in locomotion is higher than when they're in a less disturbed habitat. So there is a hypothesis.
Okay.
And then based on the hypothesis, there are different methods that you can follow, like what you want to do. So in behavioral, in behavioral data collection, in field behavior, what we do is there are methodologies like scan sample, focal sampling. So now this is getting into
No, go on.
Yeah.
I love it.
So there is the scan sampling, and there's focal sampling, and there is also ad libitum.
Ad libitum.
Ad libitum.
Okay.
So I'll tell you scan sampling how it works. So if you want to see how the group, the group activity, right? It varies throughout the day or throughout a season. Then you'll do scan sampling. So where you're going to follow a group for say 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then you observe everything that each individual does instantly within that 5 minutes. So what they're feeding on, at what height of the tree they are in, who they're interacting with, everything you will note down detailed. Okay, this is scan sampling. And then focal sampling is where you're going to follow an individual for say 10 minutes or 15 minutes, again based on what you need, what your question is, and then you'll observe everything that individual is doing with timestamps.
Okay.
So if that individual is feeding, it's feeding, and you're going to start say at 9 a.m. it starts feeding, and then stops at 9 minute 20 seconds. And then it does something immediately after that, like say it's looking at someone else for some time. You're going to write down everything that it does with the time, with the duration.
Okay. What is the distance should the observer should maintain when following?
Yeah, it should at least be 5 to 8 meters.
Okay.
And that is like the minimum distance that you should have. This is to avoid any transmission of diseases, or you should not have any physical contact with
Okay.
the.
And another question is, wouldn't they act differently when they see the human presence?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, because so what we do in the field is, before we do any form of data collection, we go to the field, we identify the group that we want to work with, right? Then we just follow them for maybe say 2 to 3 weeks without doing any data collection. We're just observing them. And they will initially run away from you. They will actually, so certain species are more shy than others. Like I said, macaques are very habituated to human presence. So mostly, when you go to them, when you're near them, like 5 to 8 meters, they would not flee. They would not flee. They would not show any change in behavior. They would be fine with your presence. But langurs, on the other hand, they're very shy individuals. Very shy individuals. So they'll see you and they'll just jump to a different tree, or they'll hide. So then it becomes very difficult to collect data, right? So what you have to do is you have to habituate them. So
How?
So you have to follow them for 2 to 3 weeks straight. Again, depending on the species. Some species, I told you, they're more shy. So you have to spend more time just observing and following them throughout the day.
They
So
don't mind with the human presence
after that,
habituation.
yeah. So then you can collect data. Then their behavior is not influenced by your presence. So then it's not biased,
Okay.
right? So you have to do this. So even for me, during my masters, I had to follow the group for like 3 weeks straight. I didn't collect any data, but I was just observing them.
Just habituating them.
Yeah, I have to follow them from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Whoa.
inside the forest,
Okay.
just following them. They will keep running. They will keep fleeing. That might be causing them stress. But then I'm not going to startle them. I'm just following them slowly, not making any noise. I'm just like observing where they're going, what they're doing. I'm just following them.
Okay.
So then they kind of get used to my presence, and then I think they feel that, okay, this is harmless, and now I can go about doing my own stuff.
Okay. Which forest you're talking about?
So this was in KMTR in Tamil Nadu.
Tamil Nadu.
So you can do other methods. Okay, you can actually collect video footage of primates if that's possible, and then observe the video footage and record the behavior. Yeah.
And tell us about your unique observation or your discoveries that you have, documented from your journey
So
about primates.
okay, so there was this one time. So Nilgiri langurs, the I think the conceived notion about Nilgiri langurs is they're very lethargic. They're just sleeping all the time. There's not a lot of interactions. But I've noticed this one thing. So Nilgiri langurs, the females, right, adult females, what they do is they will transfer their infants to another female.
Okay.
Okay. So they're lactating. They're lactating during the for 1 year or something. They'll be lactating. But during that time, what they do is when they want to feed, when they want to go around the their range to go feed for themselves, sometimes what they do is they'll transfer the infant to another female who is not who hasn't given birth. She may be a subadult female. Okay. And even they very willingly, excitedly actually take the babies.
Wow.
They are very interested in babies.
This is interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I will tell, even when it comes to macaques, also very interesting behaviors. But I noticed this she had transferred. Okay, so I had named these individuals. I had given them names like numbered individuals. Okay. F3, F1, not interesting. This is when I was doing in 2019.
You must be having some reason for that. F1, F2.
Yeah, so I mean, there've been debates. Okay, like this is before. Like you should not give names to the study species that you're working with. Then you grow emotions or attachment.
Okay.
So yeah, and some people say just give numbers, and you can you have to just be able to identify them.
Correct.
Right. The idea is to identify the individual based on characteristics, certain characteristics, and not mess up with that, because you're collecting behavior, right? You cannot have one behavior of one individual and mess it up with another individual, right? I can't say you're Clinton at one time and then call you by another name another time and then observe you.
How you guys distinguish different individuals? I mean, I don't think I can do that. Like F1, okay, you are F1, and Like how you distinguish?
Yeah,
like what are
so-
the facial characteristics?
Yeah.
you
So
s-
with Nilgiri langurs, the facial becomes a little difficult because they're black faced. They're darker here, and they have a golden mane. So you can't really see if there's any mark on their face. Not very easily identifiable. So what I did is with the tail characteristics.
Okay.
Because luckily for me, the group. So it was only 9-membered individual. So there's only one male, and males are usually big, and they have large canines,
Okay.
and they're very vocal. They have they make these sounds, who sounds in the
Okay.
mornings, or to establish their territory.
Mm-hmm.
And the females in this group, there was only 3 adult females. They were carrying infants, and 2 sub-adult females. Like they were
Yeah.
not fully mature.
Got
Like they were not carrying infant. They were not carrying an infant. They were not even pregnant. And then so that is 1, and 3 of the mothers had infants. So that's 3, 6, and then 2 sub-adult females, 8, and then male. So there was total 9 individuals, and each of those adult females, size variations, size variation, and the infant. So I named F1. So she was the older female. She had an infant who was bigger in size. Okay, and then F2, again a little smaller infant, and she had a certain different tail characteristics. Like it was bent in a certain angle, crooked, or yeah. So I was distinguishing based on tail characteristics and the infants that they were carrying. And the 2 sub-adult females also very. One had a little shorter tail. One had variations in tail features. So that's how I was distinguishing langurs. But with macaques, with other primates, you can facial characteristics. With macaques, it's very evident. You
Okay.
can see. So especially macaques. I worked with macaques in Tenmala in Kerala. In the urban setting, in slightly in the village, so they were there, out there. So we were observing them very closely, and facial characteristics, coloration, marks on the face, and then they
Wrinkles.
might have
Wrinkles.
yeah, wrinkles, and also tail, even the nipples.
What's it?
Yeah, even
Oh.
the shape of the nipple, the color of the nipple, and then deformations. Some might not have limbs. They don't have ears. One of the ears is
Okay.
tone. So all of these different physical characteristics, we make a note of it, and then we give them names and we identify them. So we had. So when I was working in Tenmala, we had different names. So we had a female called Bella.
Okay.
We had we had different names. Norma, Kim, Star Wars. Certain Star Wars names were given to
Characters.
these individuals. That was not my idea. My PI's idea. So yeah, we give names. But when I was doing my master's work, I did not give them names because of that debate, and it was going in my mind. So let me not give them names. Let me just give them. F was because it's a female, and F1, 2, 3 based on the characteristics.
Got it.
So that's how I would identify and then follow them and observe and
Yeah.
write down
This
their
is one
behavior.
observation. So tell us about.
Oh yeah, but I was talking to you about the interesting behavior that I.
Yeah. Your observation, your unique observations about monkeys.
Yes. So
One is transferring the baby
yeah,
to
and no,
the neighboring.
yeah, as they were transferring, so the mother came back to get her baby now. So she's going. She wants to have a free time basically
Okay.
without the baby, So even humans have the tendency, right?
Yeah,
Like we would-
babysitter.
babysitter. So it's like that. And so she would go about going to feed, come back, and she's trying to collect the baby back from her. So this one time, what happened is, as the other female was giving the baby back, she dropped the baby down from 30 feet, 30
Okay.
meters. And I thought the mother would just give up, or she would, or no one else would be interested to see what happened, or no one else would be interested to go collect the baby. But the mother immediately ran down and to collect the baby, and everyone else were like. Everyone,
Watching.
including the male, was all watching cautiously whether the baby is fine or not. And they didn't move. They were all interested in this.
Okay. What happened later?
Yeah, and I thought the baby probably might have died,
Okay.
or but no, she got the baby, and then she immediately hugged, and there was this, I don't know, very brief moment of, maybe this is a very anthropomorphic thing that I am attributing to them, that she consoled, or she's patting, and then she immediately went to the side of the group, and she isolated herself from the group, and
She needed space.
yeah, something
Even
like
they
that.
have space concept. Okay.
And then when the rest of the group, they noticed that she was fine, the baby was fine, then they went on about doing their stuff.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.